While we're waiting, Stefan,
Yeah.
I wanted to contact you anyway, but I thought I'd just use this moment while people are coming on board to talk to you about, and we may have to spend more time talking this, but I don't understand your full business model. But one of the things I've taken away from it is that I'm watching people do things, developing websites, and they're making a lot of basic mistakes based upon your perspective, which is I know extremely common. Um, but do you have you sort of built out a sort of like a template, like about building, given the current state of affairs of what's going on, what's emerging, the best way to design a website. And I see you as somebody who's working at the high end of things, but do you have like a project coordinator or somebody you work with who, could scale things up for people who aren't corporate clients, but are, people with more limited resources and perhaps you're getting paid for?
Uh, well, I do have a COO starting on March 1st. So hopefully
Okay.
we'll be able to put some more systems in place and some more scalability and things. But for now, I don't really have, I have 6 online courses, but I don't have a lot of systems set up for really small businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have some smaller businesses as clients. I do have like yeah, so
But
small 7-figure business as a client. I don't have any 6-figure businesses currently, but
certainly, so what I'm thinking, can you find a CEO protege who could, because I've looked around this stuff and it just, it's sort of daunting,
mhm.
how can you best, build a website just like yours, so to speak. I mean, coming up with a template and having a project manager or another, partner, where it would be the sort of middle market rather than the upper market. Food for thought. You've
Mhm.
probably got more than enough on your plate anyway, but or if you don't, who would you recommend?
So what sort of budget range are we talking about?
Well, that's the other thing. I have no idea what budget ranges. When I hear you talk about budgets, I go, whoa, that's and so $5,000, $10,000, something like in that range. I mean, to me, that seems small, but people who are sort of just doing smaller enterprises don't have the same degree of discretionary funds.
Yeah.
Well, we can take this conversation offline if you want to, but
No, it's fine. We don't have very many folks here, so
okay.
it's fine.
Yeah,
So this uh I think this is an interesting conversation. So having a budget of $5,000 to $10,000 a month or one time?
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Well, one is just getting the damn thing up and going. When I've worked with different people, it's just been there's so much out there, and people, how do you know whether somebody's good, or even you recommending somebody who would work with that budget, who you would say this person knows their stuff and is aware of everything I talk about. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh well, I did train my daughter. My oldest daughter has an SEO firm, SEO and internet marketing firm,
Mm-hmm.
and her rates are like $4 or $5,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we are once the COO that I mentioned comes on board, we will offer lower priced packages or offerings. And I don't know if we'll get down to $4,000, but it was, probably going to be down to at least $5,000 or $6,000
Mm-hmm.
a month.
Yeah, you
If
see,
it's a if it's a one time fee
yeah.
of $5,000 or $10,000, then it's going to be really hard to find a very good SEO who will, or conversion expert who will take on that project.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just there's a lot of cost involved and time involved in landing that small of an engagement.
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really very scalable.
Now, are you doing website development or just SEO?
Primarily SEO, but we do have conversion advising and uh, like analytics audits and YouTube audits and things like that. So there are other offerings beyond just straight SEO, but not building websites, not designing websites. We don't do that in house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you hire other people to do that?
Yeah. So if you're looking for a recommendation of somebody
Yeah.
to hire for design, I highly recommend Studio One. They're out of Australia, studioOneDesign.com.
Mm-hmm.
I love those guys, and I refer all my clients to them, and I've used them for probably 7 websites myself
Mm-hmm.
over the years. So yeah, they charge somewhere in the $5,000 price range for the design, not for the coding. The coding will depend on the design. So if there's a lot of uh, intricacies involved in the design that need to be coded, that is going to make it more expensive to do the coding. But on average, I'd say probably figure on another 5K
Yeah.
for coding. So the website for Studio One is studio and then the number 1 and then design.com. I'll put that into chat.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. No, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm looking for. And the other is, obviously looking out for comparable websites. I mean, like your website, looking at your website. I don't know how much the cost of your website was if you use Studio One Design for it.
Yeah, I did use them, and the scope of that is larger
Yeah,
than
sure.
normal because there were a lot of different page templates
Yeah, exactly.
that went into that. Yeah, I don't, and their prices were less when they were coding that, designing that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
it's very helpful having reputable leads. But no one else comes to mind. Is that top of mind for you?
For website design.
Yeah, web design, but it's not just the design, it's also the whole integration, thinking it holistic. I mean, you can get people to design things, but are they sophisticated enough to be thinking through the other dimensions of, the things that you're talking about?
Yeah, it's conversion focused design that Studio One does, which
Okay,
is really good because they understand what converts and what doesn't.
I see. Okay.
But from a messaging and a copywriting standpoint, you can't rely on Studio One. That's not what they do.
No.
You would have to find a separate copywriter or messaging person. There's a guy
Yeah.
that I know in a mastermind that I'm in called JVMM. His name is Peter Sandeen, and his website is petersandeen.com, Sandeen. So that's somebody that he works with different experts, thought leaders, authors.
I'm on a different page myself. Did you put that in the chat box or? Sorry,
I will put it in there. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just because I'm going to have to go in a few minutes. I'm going to get called out.
Yep.
I'm just time in from my work day to be able to attend.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
You have that late night radio DJ voice, Steven. It's like, hey, Spencer, coming from LA. Right on.
Well, I am getting some coaching from Roger Love, so that does help.
I took his course. I took his master course and did his whole
good.
thing.
Yeah, I'm in his master presenters mastermind. Yeah, it's awesome.
Doing that now, or did you do that previously?
I'm doing it now, and I did it previously too.
When did you do it? Did you do it last year?
Yeah.
So we did it together.
Were we in there at the same time?
I believe this right before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't make it to all the events, but there was the last one that I went to in person. Dr. B was there. Do you know Dr. B?
Sure. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dr. B was there, and oh gosh, what's her name? She's got the Serena Love's website. Serena Poon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She did the mix, was she the one who did
protein,
the healthy?
Yeah, the healthy shakes and all that.
Yeah.
Or like all sorts of healthy stuff. And she's in there still.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I've been doing all the stuff. I just needed some time to absorb everything. And I still have a couple of sessions with him left, and then COVID hit. So I've been kind of holding those to do it live. Cause since we're in LA, so I like to come to this, to see you guys, to see Freddie, because it's my time with Freddie.
Hey, Brad.
What's up, dude? He inspired. I feel like afterwards I need to work on my website and practice keyboards. So you guys inspire me.
You're too kind, Brad. Good morning from Los Angeles, gentlemen. I know Stefan's on the other side of the planet, and Rick, you're in North Carolina, I think. And
you're right about that.
I think Andrew and Brad are on the West Coast with me, where the weather is, I don't want to rub it in, but it's sunny. The California sun tax. But it's good to be here, Stephen. Stephen, it's always, everything you
Stefan.
say is Stefan, it's always so valuable. Thank you. And I know you and I are scheduled to speak soon, which I'm looking forward to. But one thing that occurred to me, and I know Rick is going to disappear soon because he's at work. But what I'm thinking is, what are you fishing for? You're identifying the client avatar seems to be everything before you do anything else. And Rick is going after something giant. He wants to do big things for humanity, which I identify with, because I am also one of those legacy kind of people. I have big visions for what I'm doing and life in tune. But every time I do presentations, I dig in deeper to discover what my audience is. And I just want to share a little bit of what's happening with that as it pertains to SEO, because we're all here to learn about SEO. And we have Stefan as the master, Jedi of this, I should say the Yoda. I have recently been hired by people that are primary. I'm going to say a big chunk of my audience are women, interestingly enough. And yesterday I did a medal. Some of you may have seen it, with 32 participants showed up for Onward, which is the women's group of medal. And the reaction was incredible because I was discussing the properties of music. I put it in the context of Valentine's Day, which really helps because we were on the heels of Valentine's Day. But then I turned it into a discussion on leadership, harmony, on how they add to the community, and on timing, rhythm, which is sort of my 3 pillars of my methodology. And there was one lady on the call, and Jennifer will attest to this. She said, this was life-changing. She said that 20 minutes into the call. I couldn't believe it. She's from Ghana and Nigeria. She does a ton of work. I recommended that she hook up with Mohammed Yunis, who got the Nobel Peace Prize for microlending about 10 years ago. I'm saying all this to say that I've learned that what I am doing serves very well to talk about diversity and inclusion, engagement, and collaboration. Very much. All right. So what I'm saying is, music is this infinite cosmic universe, right? Music is crazy. So you have to kind of like, where is it in the music that I'm able to serve what my knowledge is and what my journey's been? And so I'm learning, and I'm sharing with my metal brothers right now, that I'm finding as I keep going, especially through COVID, that anytime I discuss engagement, listening skills, mindfulness, collaboration, helping people, kind of equalize the workspace, right? Finding, I don't use the term social justice, but that's part of it. But I don't use that term, right? That's helping me identify. Now, some of the feedback I'm getting is, Freddie, you're perfect for the LinkedIn platform, because those are the people where the average income is about, the average income's about, I hear about 70 grand a year is what I'm hearing is the average income of working professionals. I don't, Stefan, you probably have the exact number, but to speak to Rick's point, I don't think we have any business fishing or spending a second of our valuable life force in Facebook or Instagram. Feels like a huge waste of time. Now, maybe I'm wrong, Stefan, that's why I wanted to kind of bring up, because I'm hearing Rick, and Rick is going, it's overwhelming. It is overwhelming. It's a moving target. Some people talk about Clubhouse as, oh man, this is amazing, right? But now we all hear that Facebook is putting out their own version of Clubhouse, which of course is going to be instantly bigger, much bigger. But my feeling is, how do we monetize that space? So I think we're interested in doing legacy work, transforming human behavior to a higher level. This is me, mindfulness, collaboration, engagement through the power of music, and doing it in such a way that I can offer courses, sell books, enroll them and engage them in a continuity program. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm interested in.
Okay.
Stefan, what do you think?
Well, let me start off with kind of a spiritual take on this, because I think regardless of the platform, if you are coming from a higher vibration sort of place, the people will find you. It's like you're popping your head above the clouds, and the other people who are also in that higher vibration will see you. They'll just be energetically drawn to you. That's what I've experienced. Like, people just show up, and like they're right in my perfect client avatar of world changers, people who want to leave a legacy, do amazing things for humanity, elevate the consciousness of humanity, and help with their health and all this sort of stuff. These are my peeps, and they're showing up in droves. And the more I align with my soul purpose and focus on being in my gift, and not trying to, what one coach told me, I was trying to climb laterally up the mountain instead of just go straight up. Like, here's my goal, here's my soul purpose, and then hammering in the stake into the rock face and hooking up the carabiner, and then you do it again and keep going. No, I decide to do this laterally across the mountain, and I've got like 100 lines dropped down. It's like I'm trying to bring everybody up to the same place on the mountain that I am, instead of just go up the stupid mountain. So if you are at all resonating with this, thinking, okay, yeah, I'm trying to figure out Clubhouse, and I want to get my YouTube channel really humming, and oh yeah, I finally got over 1,000 subscribers, and oh yeah, I've got 3 website redesigns that I'm juggling of my own websites at the same time: stephanspencer.com, getyourselfoptimized.com, and netconcepts.com. Oh yes, and I'm also juggling 3 different client redesigns at the same time, overseeing those that Studio One is up to the design work on, and I'm trying to make sure all the SEO is baked in, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm doing 50 different things at once. That is keeping you from going up the mountain and being in your sole purpose. But once you jettison a lot of that stuff away, you can focus and go up. And then the whole community of like-minded, similarly elevated, conscious people will spot you and will be drawn to you. So it doesn't matter if it's Clubhouse. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook or it's LinkedIn. They're there. Now, yes, the demographics are different. Skews more younger for Instagram, and LinkedIn is seen as a little more businessy than Facebook, but Facebook ads are way more effective than LinkedIn ads are. I wasted stupid money on LinkedIn ads. I would never tell anybody to advertise on LinkedIn. Facebook ads can do well for you, but the bigger kind of spiritual message I'm giving is that you got to focus on your gift and trust your intuition and know that you're going to be kind of guided. You'll get some messages, and you'll synchronicities, serendipities will happen. Yeah.
First of all, what an incredible discussion and what you just shared. And it totally resonates with me, Stephan. And, I think all of us in metal most of us are in a pursuit for the higher version of ourselves. I think that's a kind of part of the unspoken credo of metal. But I'm with that. I'm down with you on that. And I think the other thing is, I was speaking with Max Goldberg. You guys might remember Max. He was one of the speakers on Metal a couple Saturdays ago. He's a friend of Joe Polish, another part of the Joe Polish camp. And Max is, I don't know, he's probably about 27 years old, lives in Austin. And he's one of these brainiac kids who wants to transform the world. And so we had an hour and 15-minute discussion yesterday, a call that he wanted to do and I wanted to do. And, he's more than a generation younger than I am. And just to hear his take was fascinating. He said, Freddie, I've been checking you out. He says, what you do is about a vibe you give people. You project a vibe, and the vibe is good. And that's what you need to do. He said, my generation, this is really, I think, important for all of us to hear, especially Brad as a fellow musician. People don't seem to care as much, this new generation, I'm talking about people under 30, and Stephan, maybe you can comment on this, about celebrity. He said celebrity is like, we really don't care. He says, I care about how a thought leader or someone who's selling me something, I care about how they make me feel and be real in my life today. I don't care, I come from the world, my old world, which was, it was important to say Lady Gaga, Carlos Santana, it was important to drop the names that you've worked with because it gives you instant credibility, right? And I know from an SEO point of view, the fact that I've got these giant names in my resume is probably a lot more helpful than someone who doesn't. Granted, at the same time, my ideal avatar is probably not an old Carlos Santana fan. Right? Old Carlos Santana fan who loved me when I played with Carlos Santana is not going to drop thousands of dollars on a continuity course that I'm trying to put together at the moment. My avatar might be Max Goldberg, smart, up and coming, hot entrepreneur who never thought of music as a tool to transform their daily thinking, who never thought of music as something other than entertainment. In fact, most people don't. Most people think it's entertainment. That's my escape hatch, but I'm not going to deal with music right now. I'm going to focus on work. And I'm saying, no, no, no. It's all under the same umbrella. It's a higher power. It'll change your resonance. You'll do better with your customer relations. You'll do better with everything you believe in. Mm-hmm. That's mine. So I'm positioning, my services are a reveal. I'm revealing something everyone intuitively already knows, but I'm showing them a whole new way to look at it to improve their life. That's joyful and fun. And since people learn 5 times faster when they're having fun, that's in other words, I feel like I have a huge advantage over most people because I'm selling a service where everyone's already riding the wave. They're up on the surfboard riding the wave already, and I'm coming and saying, guess what? You don't just have to surf. You can do other things with that power. That's what I want to position in my marketing. And it's been a bitch. It's been a devil of a challenge to figure out how to make that fit into today's market. And until you get that figured out, all the SEO and all the Wikipedia and all the things we work on doesn't add up until you have that North Star defined. And that's what I'm really, really zeroing in on right now. And I would love suggestions, feedback,
Well, let me give you some thoughts on this, because I just attended a little workshop that some Tony Robbins Platinum partners had. It was with Jeff Goins, who's a fantastic writer. And I actually asked him about my self-help book that I'm working on, because it's such a huge departure from the technical books, the technical marketing books that I've done with O'Reilly. And he emphasized the importance of having this hook that would be a kind of a counterintuitive truism. So you know how one thing is normally considered true? Well, it's actually this, and it's the opposite. So here's mine for my self-help book. You know how the invisible world is, seen as it's considered kind of unreachable or invisible or kind of ethereal, elusive. Yeah. It's actually more real than our quote unquote real physical world. You see how that leaves a lot of the story left for folks, like the curiosity gap. See you, Rick. That's just such a powerful positioning and curiosity gap inducing hook. I think that's what you need, is your equivalent to that. So you know how music has entertained the generations for millennia, and it's what kind of brings us together and keeps us together. Well, actually, that's a minor piece of what music is. Music is the operating system of life, or it's what, I don't know. I'm just making something up, but it's a game-changing statement that makes people want to know more. Once you lead with that and you follow up with, and I happen to have worked with Lady Gaga and Carlos Santana, like that, all that stuff is great, as you say, for credibility, but it's secondary. And it doesn't matter if the person is 25 years old and has never listened to Carlos Santana. That's not material to it. They just know that they don't have to do their due diligence about on you, because you've already been pre-selected by the Lady Gagas of the world, and like, okay, this guy's clearly legit. And now that I know that he's got something valuable for me, I'm going to listen.
I like
you can't put the cart before the horse. Doesn't work. right?
Right.
The credibility, and then, oh, here's the value prop. That's an incredibly curiosity inducing hook.
Do you guys listen to like Brant Penvidic does this great thing, and he says that it's always good to mention those things, but you mention those at the end. It's like, I think I have it up here, like, when you do the problem, the solution, and then at the very end, the last thing is, can you do it? Oh yeah, I've worked for this, and this. Once you have them engaged and interested in what you say and contextualize what your offer is and what you want, then at the end it's, oh, that's awesome. I'm interested. And I've done this and this. Oh, and he can do it. So I think people still, even young people, want to hear, it seems to me like for my daughter, they're very starstruck with like someone who's famous. So I don't know if people are less starstruck, but I think, it's always good to put those at the end, not like start off with, this is who I've worked with. That's according to what,
Yeah, I don't think celebrity is dead. I think it's alive and well. Like I've been to VidCon, and that is a place where all the preteens are running around screaming, chasing after the YouTube celebrities, like the big YouTubers.
Right.
It's it's a zoo. It's hilarious. I thought I was going there to like learn some cool YouTube techniques and stuff, but it's much more of a Comic-Con sort of convention than it is a conference of creators learning new tips and tricks about YouTube. So if you want that side of it, go to Vid Summit. If you want a Comic-Con sort of YouTube experience with a whole bunch of preteens, that is VidCon.
Awesome. What you said, Stefan, to getting back to the counterintuitive statement is really something, and that is, and I agree with you, because if you, like I said, I am mining in a field where everyone already has the gold in their pocket. They just don't know how valuable the gold is. Yeah. And they never thought that the gold was more than just, I use music to go to the gym. I use music to cook. I use music to clean the house. No, it's way bigger than that. And so I really appreciate what you said about that. I think I can come up with a really beautiful, juicy, really attractive, compelling message about people's, underuse of the world's oldest language on the planet.
Yeah, great. So just start with that formula of, how everybody thinks, and then whatever the conventional wisdom thing is, it's actually blank. And that's where you do the wisdom drop, right? So here's another example. I came up with this for someone else in the group. How everybody thinks you're supposed to be grateful for all the good in your life? It's actually the shit that you should be really thanking God for. Isn't that so much more true?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful, right? So it just it's like a big reset for people in their thinking and their level of thinking to hear that statement. So there's one that is just sitting there waiting for you. Just channel it and it'll come right out, and it'll make a world of difference.
Thank you, Stefan. That's huge. And I think you're right. I need to be thinking about taking more of the high road rather than doing the carabiner, throwing the rope and trying to pull everyone else up with me, which is, I'm way guilty of that. I've been working so hard to pull other people up all the time. That story of my life. I'm the cheerleader of life. What do you call it? An inverse paranoid, right?
I haven't heard of that, but that's funny.
You know what an inverse paranoid is? You guys know
No.
what an inverse? That's a person who always sees the glass half full. That's a person who views the universe conspiring to make your life as good as possible.
Well, that is true, though.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Yeah, and Stefan, I believe you have some of that in you too. People who are motivators, who are out there being cheerleaders for everyone else, we tend to be inverse paranoids. You can look it up. It's a thing.
That's
and
funny.
it's called
I like
an
it.
inverse paranoid. It's pretty interesting. And I feel that I've been one of those my whole life. And I feel that the reason that I attracted so many large, big energies to my life is because they see me putting out this inverse. I have this very positive attitude about making things happen, and the musical ability to put it out there. So that's been a big, I mean, that's a very consistent part of my journey. But the thing that always rises more than even the music is the connector. I'm, the person who can connect diversity and inclusion to an R&B song, or a person who connect a nursery rhyme written by Mozart, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Mozart. Take the ABCs and connect that with a school in Atlanta, and I'll be on calls with people like that, and their jaws are dropping all the time because they're saying, I never thought of it that way. So I think this is a huge thing, is to flip the switch that way and just show that you're a beacon show that you're such like a lighthouse position, right? The lighthouse standing on a rocky coast, and you're the one who's busting up above everyone else. I think that's a good place to be. So I will rethink that, Stefan. Thank you.
So Stefan, getting to your point about appreciating the shit, I was wondering if you could look at my website and tell me if you had any thoughts.
I'd be happy to.
Has to do that.
I'd be happy to. So what's the website?
Fuelmusic.rocks.
Okay. So why .rocks? That's a TLD, a top level domain I never have heard.
A couple of reasons. One, because if I use .com, I couldn't get Fuel Music or something that would be like this big long thing. And second of all, since it's in the music space, I thought .rocks seemed to work. So I thought in this case it was kind of cool. Most of the people who I would have come to my website are like showrunners or producers or people I send there. It's not as much as just people typing in music composer, but people who might look me up. And the problem I have is that even when they type my name or Fuel Music, they get a lot of other stuff. So they might know my company, Fuel, or my name, but
so what if you could just buy fuelmusic.com? Would it be possible for you to spend $3,200 to buy it?
I guess I could. I don't know if it would help me get more traction, or I don't know if that would be the best place to invest money. I don't, it's not like I sell shoes and I just need people to, I don't know, maybe that's worth it. I don't know. That's but I think I looked at it once and the guy wanted like 20,000 or something. So I was like,
well, here's the price right now. You can buy it for $5,000 and you will own it. Right? You just hit the buy button. This is Afternic, which is a division of GoDaddy. Or you could make an offer, and the minimum offer is $32.49. And who knows, they might take the offer, but it won't be higher than $49.99 because that's the buy now price.
And is that worth it for me? I mean, is that going to make a difference in my?
It makes you look more legit. If you told somebody at a conference or at some networking event, like, hey, visit me at fuelmusic.rocks, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
But fuelmusic.com sounds legit. That's like having an 800 number versus an 833 number. 833? What is that, even toll free? You're like, yeah, it is. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. So it's just, there's some legitimacy to it. And I don't know if that's a lot of money for you, or if that's, in the, realm of reasonableness, but I think that's not an expensive amount for an aftermarket domain.
And how about fuel.com? Or is there something
that
better I
would be insanely expensive? Not for sale even. That's like a multi-million-dollar domain.
Afternick.com. Okay, so
fuel.com is out as out of the that's out of the question.
I've got a quick little comment as someone
Yeah.
who's been in the music industry my entire life. I think music fuel makes sense too. But I understand fuel music because you write music that fuels, but music fuel is also good too. It's twice the price. And also what Stefan is saying about, let's say you're able to get it for $32.50. Let's say they accept the offer. I think it's money very well spent, because it's sort of like he said, it's a difference between a PO box and a physical address. Or what were you saying, Stefan? You had it's just people take you more seriously, and you'll make that money back in one contract. So I would recommend it. I did the same thing with Life in Tune. I could have bought lifeintune.net for $1.99, but I spent $3,500 and got lifeintune.com because and it was a big check for me at the time, but I'm so happy I did it. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. So if you go to afternick.com and then you just search for Fuel Music, you'll find the same page that I'm on right now, and you can make the offer.
Okay.
If that speaks to you, connect with your intuition. It's to tie back to a kind of the spiritual discussion we were having earlier.
Well,
Listen to your
I mean, I could do it. Just kids in college, COVID, it's been slow, but I mean, it's definitely something that maybe is worth it. It's just, it seems like the people I reach out to, it's such a small group, but maybe that would search easier, or maybe that's the best place to put the time and money. I don't know.
Well,
I guess what are the hit points? If I had like the priority of where I could make this more inviting and give the right impression to clients, usually they'll know me or meet me and then use the webpage to check me out, and then make the decision or whatever, or justify the decision. They might meet me, or they might look, and then they look me up, and then they justify, okay, he's someone we can use, or he's for real, or
Yeah, but presumably as time goes on, you will get leads more than just through referrals, right? And then somebody will have not spoken to you.
I don't know. I think it's more like what I think will happen was I'll connect with someone on LinkedIn and they might look me up, or I'll meet someone at a film festival. It's such a small business. It's basically, I'm reaching out to people who produce or show run television shows, or it might be someone who I send to the site. So that's generally where I'm going to go. Or someone might try to find me who has it, like, oh, what happened to Brad from Fuel? And that's when you don't see me, or it's hard to find unless they remember my last name.
Yeah. So what I might suggest, because you're not sold on this idea of, and I don't have
I'm open to it. I don't have
any particular agenda here for you, but I'm thinking maybe ask some of your clients and past clients if they would recommend, or if they would be further swayed.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Yes,
right?
I believe
they'll
that.
probably have something to say about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It usually does. Fuel rocks. It's like, or they don't remember it, or they're like confused by it a little bit. It is a point of confusion a little bit.
Yeah. And we want to eliminate confusion.
Okay.
Confusion equals them not signing up, or them not contacting you, or them like going into inaction.
And do you own it forever once you pay that $3,500 or $5,000 or
Yes.
whatever? Is that, so that's it for?
That's it. You still have to pay the renewal fees of $10 a year,
Yeah, exactly.
but It's yours. Yeah. The
Mhm.
owner who owns it has handed it over and you have full rights to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some things on the site itself.
Okay.
So this doesn't really convey what you do. So it sounds a little too clever.
Okay.
So people want to know within 3 seconds, what do you do? Why should I care? And what do I do next? And are you legit as well? So I don't see any legitimacy here until I start scrolling down. Let's see. Okay, now we get some names of brands that I've heard of. Okay. Why couldn't we see some of those logos above the folds? Right. So clients or projects or as seen on or whatever, and then a bunch of logos. That
Mhm.
that is very helpful. And instead of being a little obscure with what your value proposition is or what you do, you could change this to something that is aspirational and focused on the visitor, but also very clear what you do. And so this idea of verb your noun, I learned from Clay Hebert. I've mentioned it previously. So I don't know if this is a repeat from a previous session of the show, but verb your noun means that you would have a statement that's a verb, then the word your, and then a noun, such as if you were a mortgage broker, fund your dream. So it's all about them, the visitor, and their aspiration, their dream, their goal. And it's not about you. You're in the secondary, like passenger or like assist position, and they're the hero. You're the guide. They're the hero.
Well, would
And
build your audience like, well, what I try to do differently than most composers is a lot of guys, they'll, score the music and do a great job, but what they don't consider is who the target audience is. So a lot of like television shows, the purpose of a television show is to bring in an audience for the sponsors and for the network. So when I do a score, I obviously consider the storyline and all those things, but also who are they trying to attract and make sure that that score connects with and reaches that audience they're trying to reach. It's like when you do a commercial, you don't just put on, oh, well, it's a happy commercial. Let's put on happy polka music if it's going to 18-year-olds. You consider the audience. And so many shows, they use stock music or the composers do this big sweeping orchestral score, which might work great, but is it really, maybe something more hip hop would connect more with the audience they're trying to reach. So I'm trying to brand the show, give it a sound, a style, something unique that speaks to it, and also will connect emotionally and engage the audience so they feel connected to it and they relate to it. So that's
okay.
that's
So
my
you've said the word connect several times. I'm thinking connect to your audience more so than build your audience. So build your audience.
That's good.
Isn't
Yeah.
that differentiating really? Everybody wants to build audience. Everybody says they build audience, like the ad agency down the street builds your audience, but you connect with your audience. That feels better to me. What do you think, Freddie?
I have another thing that I'm working with in my brain for Brad. He's using the word fuel. And I'm thinking about a tank of gas that needs to be filled up. And I'm thinking about driving. How about drive your audience through the power of music? Like driving. I know connect is a little clearer, but drive, if I'm a filmmaker, I want to drive my score. I want to drive the story with music that moves the emotion and moves the story forward. That's very specifically what I'm looking for. The word connect is a great word. I use it all the time, but it's a broad word. What am I, a networking agency? What am I, a dating agency? Connect. Connect is just used in so many businesses. But in music, music is used to serve, in Brad's case, he's using music to serve a story. And he's being called to get the director or the story or the writer or the screenplay emotional glue that makes the story come alive. George Lucas used to call John Williams up to the ranch up there in Marin County and said, look, I've got this idea for Darth Vader. And John Williams already had dun, 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 dun. He already had that in his brain before the movie was made. And that's very famous use of music to transform everything. And that's how important music is. So those are my 2 cents.
What you're saying, just want to piggyback on, and this came to my mind, make your story come alive through music or through the right score, something along those lines, or with the perfect score, or I don't know. Yeah, make your story come alive.
I was trying to
verb your noun.
I was trying to think of something like every other composer wouldn't do. Like, obviously all composers will try to tell the story and make the story come alive and all those things. But what I was trying
to do, they say that? Does anybody say that on their websites? I would probably guess not. Yeah. They're not that sophisticated to even know to use a verb your noun construct. Mm-hmm. and make it about the visitor instead of about themselves. They're probably just stuffing some keywords in there, like LA-based composer of movie scores, TV sitcom scores, and more.
Like, that's true. That's true. But what Stefan is talking about is the bumper sticker. Some people don't get down to the bumper sticker. And you know what I mean? The bumper sticker, make your story come alive, is great. It's very bumper sticker.
Yeah. Since it's aspirational, it's inspirational. It's the outcome they're after. They know that you get their outcome and not that you're just trying to
so you like make your story come alive better than connect to your audience? They're very 2 different things, I guess.
I like both, but I think the best way to handle this is you're going to talk to your clients and past clients anyways to ask them about the .com. Ask them about this too.
Yeah, I might just do the .com because that does come up as a source of confusion. Like,
all it takes is one confused person who didn't take action because of the cognitive load. Just one extra little bit of cognitive load and they just never contacted you. And that's one big deal that didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else you?
Well,
and then put the,
I would like to see some testimonial on the homepage as well as just the video examples and the additional the logos that I mentioned earlier. So do you have a testimonial quote from a client?
Yeah, I could work on that. I could do that.
Okay.
And then I have it scrolling down, but I also have the tabs along the top.
Yeah, so I don't really love one-page websites. Google tends to hate them too. It's technically not a one-page website because this is a separate page. This licensing hits and then events, but a lot of what's on the homepage is like that's kind of your main thing, right? It's just the homepage plus a little bit of text on a couple other pages. Like this is thin content. This is maybe
I
what,
try to
30,
make it
30
as,
words.
I try to make it as concise as possible so people read. I mean, I try to really say it concisely.
Yeah, but that's a problem because if you're super concise, then what is there for Google to like churn through and analyze and figure out what you're about?
Yeah, I was thinking more for the person looking at the site. Like if someone actually went to the site, maybe someone I met at a film festival, hand them the card, then they go look at it, or they're looking under commercials, and then they might see services. You know, I wanted to make it for the reader. I mean, I guess I could always add a blind page where I could have a ton of verbiage if I needed that for Google. I don't know.
Well, if it's a page that's not easily findable by the user from, the website, then like if you said blind page, I'm thinking like hidden
Yeah.
link sort of. Yeah, that's against Google's guidelines, so I wouldn't do that. Does this suffice for your leads? Did they say, oh yeah, this was plenty of information, I didn't need anything else
I
after
don't know if
reading
anybody's
those
looked at it.
Okay.
I don't know. I just try to be concise and clear.
Well, concise and clear are two different things. Clarity is sometimes achieved by being a little bit more verbose and giving the full picture. So concise here, certainly it's concise, but I wouldn't get the feeling that you put a lot of time into this. I'd be like, oh, this looks like a little starter website. So they just kind of put a little bit of placeholder copy in there, and they'll fill it out with a, more extended page later.
Okay.
Plus, you have some typos. It's not more than music. It's THAN, not THEN.
Oh.
Right. And then under hit song,
his song,
and then you write,
there's a typo there too. It should be hit song.
So you've got a bunch of things here that are going to credibility killers. Like, wow.
Where's the hit song?
It says his song instead of hit song. It should say hit song. It's under hit song licensing. If you want that famous his song in your production, that's a sentence from. And yeah.
So this speaks to your analogy of
go.
shit, right? I'm learning from the shit.
It's all good, man. I have so much crap.
We're all learning. We're all on this journey together.
We're all swimming through it. It's just that we're honest enough to tell you.
I love it. Thank you.
And we cast music as you cast an actor. What if you've already casted the actor? We cast music, as I'm casting the actor, it's not
right.
it's not as. I'm not calling you as I'm casting the actor.
Right.
It's a different meaning.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. My mom would be so proud. She was a school teacher, so she would be very proud of you.
And I like it more personal. Not build an audience, build your audience.
Right.
Use Stefan's, verb, your noun.
Or connect to your audience.
And I also like having the same sort of structure to each of the bullets. So if it's build an audience, then what's the next one? License a hit song.
Right.
And then what's the next one? So it's verb, verb, verb instead of a verb, then a noun. A different structure for each is kind of confusing.
Right. That's a good point.
All right.
All right,
guys,
great.
It is the top of the hour.
All right. Before I lose you two gentlemen, I have a quick question. I'm thinking of a title for my book, and I'm thinking of superhuman harmonics or superhuman harmony, and then a tagline. But I'm using that as a title, and I wanted to ask you, Stefan, specifically, what you thought of the idea of superhuman harmony or becoming superhuman harmony as an idea.
I like the idea. I like the sound of superhuman harmony more
Yeah.
than becoming superhuman harmony.
Uh-huh.
I like harmony better than
There's some
harmony.
intrigue to that, and yeah, curiosity gap and some intrigue there. Yeah,
Okay, that's
I'd explore that.
that I will continue to dig into that space, and I thank you very much.
All right.
All right,
All
guys.
right. Well,
Thank
we'll
you.
see you guys next week.
All right, thank you, Stephanie.
All right, take care.
All right, Brad.
Thank you guys. All right.
Hang in there, brother.
All right.
Good stuff.
Bye, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right.